Bitcoin's had a fantastic move up from the September low, giving us a 15% return. However, it's back on the decline, bringing it down to 27,000. Is this the end of the move to the upside? What does it mean for cryptocurrencies? Are they about to collapse yet again for the umpteenth time this cycle? We've also got the SP 500 to go through, as it has recovered very well from the lows that we've been looking at for this part of the cycle. I've also got the NASDAQ to get through, which is even stronger than the SP 500. We have the macro cycle to get through in real estate, and of course looking at where we currently go from this point. I've also got a little special for you here as well with the Binance and other cryptos, which will potentially break down if we see Bitcoin break past key support levels. Don't go anywhere if you hold cryptos, Bitcoin, ETH, or potentially even real estate or the stock markets. We cover it all here as macro cycle analysts. We're studying the past to forecast the future across all of those markets. Let us start with hitting the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. 1 out of 4 of you still need to hit that subscribe button. Let's kick it off with the macro cycle and bring it down onto the smaller term timeframes and the smaller markets out there like our Bitcoin and crypto. Reminder, we are in the uptrend here of our cycle. There have been many key instances, data points, market sentiment, charts that we've covered across here on the channel to show us that we had our mid-cycle slowdown throughout 2020, and we've now started in that uptrend towards the final peak. Yesterday's video, the day before, we looked at the symptom of a coming mega collapse, probably one of the biggest collapses, if not the biggest collapse the world has ever seen. The symptom is a market going up. Bottoms always form on bad news, tops always form on good news, and to get to a collapse, you need to have a really big run up to that point. And we're talking about massive collapses here. Think of altcoins like your SHIBs and Doge and any of those other garbage coins, but on a scale of trillions and trillions of dollars. That's your real estate market. We're in this particular section right here, which will then lead us into the symptom of the collapse, which is the very easy money and the mania stage. This is exactly what I posted up yesterday from yesterday's video. So just to look at that cycle there, just so that we get an idea here of the macro picture that we currently find ourselves in, right in the midst of this last stage. Now, if we look at it from a rough 18-year standpoint, you can see that we are basically in that final era. And there is a lot of bad news out there and negativity, but this is probably one of those last times for a very long time that we can make significant gains quite quickly if you know what you're doing. So get ready to be so make sure you are prepared in your investment and trading plans. There is some good time to go, but the bad times will be bad. It'll make 2022 look like nothing. You'll wish you were in 2022 rather than what I think is going to come after roughly 2026-ish, maybe 2027. We still have a few years to go, so let's see how the markets continue to play out from that point. The same sort of thing here. This is what we're seeing in the markets. Real estate cycle. Everyone's been talking about real estate collapsing, the prices coming well down, but what we've seen is the prices go up and getting very close to near all-time highs yet again. 2019, we had a boom. 2020, everyone was talking about this major collapse. When you look at the prices themselves in 2020, they actually went up. 2021, yes, we all know there was a housing boom basically around the world. Yes, there are many other factors for those reasons, but I've only got a short time here and we don't need to list them all out every single video. 2022, we had a correction. Real estate cycles are longer, bigger than stock markets and of course cryptocurrencies. And so the corrections take longer. There is your correction. That was your time to buy the low when everyone else was screaming collapse of 50%, 70% in property prices because no one can afford it, etc. That was the low. Now we have seen the market. This is just pure raw data. The facts that are coming here through the charts and our understanding of the real estate and economic cycle that lasts roughly 18 or so years, 17 to 23 years has been the extremes, over 220 years of data, and the average is roughly around 18 to 19 years. We need to understand that. We need to know all that because of where we sit for Bitcoin, and probably one of the last really big moves up that I think we'll get in Bitcoin for some time. Maybe in the 2030s, we'll see another one, but this might be our last one for the 2020s. So for the S&P, we've come off this solid low so far, and we're testing 50% at roughly 4,400 points, call it 4,380 if you want to get a little closer to the market. And for the next 50% test is 4,411. So that's what you're looking out for if you're tracking the SPX. And for the futures market, you're at 4,435 for the major time frame here, and we are testing the slightly shorter time frame here at exactly 4,400 points. Nice solid move from this low, 3 days up, higher highs, higher lows there. And this particular day here on the 3rd of October was when the bears were getting excited for the market to collapse even further. They basically called the low. So that was your extreme fear that came into the market right on this day here on the 18th. That's what we go through when it comes to the market sentiment and marrying that up with the charts, your technicals, and your market sentiment. Now, of course, we go into great detail to get our plans together with our members at the Investor Accelerator, a place that you have more time to get into the nitty-gritty of your investment plans and trading plans. If you want more info, the link's in the top of the video description. The extreme low was basically the bottom of the market, a couple of points off. The same thing happened, as we can see from Michael's tweet here, on each of the significant lows that came in on the S&P. The bears were getting very excited for the banking collapse, that the market was supposed to fall out of bed, take out the 2020 lows. But if you're following a chart, you will see the difference to what the masses see in the news. They see the extreme fear, and that's why their chart in their head looks more like this. All their lows look the same. But when you're on a price chart, all your lows at this stage are higher. That's a bull market. In their head, all of the perma bears, all of the bearish folks who are just seeing the news, they think each of these lows are the same and it's only going to get worse. That's how this game works, because most people don't take the time to invest in their own education and their own plans and move forward with what they're doing. So you get the idea here. Each of those extreme lows has come out here at these bottoms. It's very, very crazy that most don't see this, but there is a rising low here on a macro time frame. Extreme greed, of course, comes in at those peaks, but you've got the build up here, the build up, and then you get that blast off to the top, and it looks like potentially we're starting another one of those. Maybe we come back down, test these prices again, but around these price ranges are probably going to be the lows for the SP 500. The NASDAQ, however, is in a stronger stance. It's got higher lows forming from where the S&P had slightly lower lows. So as we move forward in this cycle, as I pointed out at the beginning of the video, it's possible that tech stocks are going to do better than the rest of the market. So probably those top 7 that everyone keeps talking about that are moving the market, and most are getting feared by maybe the Russell 2000, which are the bottom 2,000 companies in the US. Of course, the best have to move the market. They're the ones who are taking the most profits in, and they're helping society, the economy. No one cares about the bottom 2,000 because they don't have an impact on the economy like the top 7 companies. So we are interested in what the best are doing because that's where the money is flowing. And that's exactly what happens with Bitcoin and the altcoins. Most are interested in what's going on with Bitcoin because the majority altcoins are garbage. I don't mean to trigger or offend. I mean, I don't really care, to be honest, if people are offended by their altcoins, because at the end of the day, most of these altcoins are absolute garbage. We've seen them in 2017. We've seen them in 2013. We've seen them every other year before and after those dates. And the majority of them are garbage. Even the ones from 2021, most of those are probably going to be garbage come the next cycle as well. It's so easy to make a crypto and pump it out into the market and take people's money, but it's harder to actually make the project and get it profitable. So that's what's happening here. And it looks like we could be on the verge of another crypto collapse. So basically altcoins coming down yet again. What we're seeing short term for Bitcoin is that breakdown of 27,300. So the shorter term 50%. You might have remembered that we've been talking about the larger 50% for Bitcoin to overcome, for the bulls at least, 28,400. Yet again, the markets have failed at the 50% level. The 50% levels are extremely critical no matter which market you are following, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's the stock markets, individual stocks, whatever it may be. That 50% level is super, super easy to use. and it's your critical level to know whether you're in a strong section of the market or a weak section in the market. And then you have to use that across multiple timeframes. And so in the larger time frame, as we can see here, this is our weekly move from the top to the bottom, July to September. We're still trading in that weaker half. So until we can overcome that 28.4, basically at that level, we're trading in the weaker half on the macro. But first we need to climb out of the micro timeframes to get to that macro timeframe. Bitcoin's done a relatively okay job at that, with higher lows forming at this stage. But that's been a key level right there, 27,300. More importantly, here's my next 50% level, 26,756, call it 26,700. So it looks like we're coming back to test that level now. You guys know if we get a breakdown of that, we're probably going to come back and test 26, potentially even test 24.9. What happens from that point? Well, then we have the monthly 50% level that Bitcoin may come back and test, 23,006. It was a big area that we're looking at when it broke down in August and started trading around 25 to 26 and a half. And I was looking at the possibility of Bitcoin testing that 50%. It didn't get there and basically bounced away to test the higher 50% around 28,400. But potentially if we do break these levels, then maybe we come back to test that 50%. And that will guaranteed, I hate putting guarantees on it, but I would say from at least from my own investing, guaranteed there's going to have dire consequences on altcoins. So that's all this other crap here that you see on my watch list. Basically everything else except Bitcoin. That's going to have a dire consequence on those. I'll look at ETH as a separate beast on its own, and that's also struggling. But if Bitcoin does come back and break this 50%, 26,700, you're going to see altcoins continue to struggle as well. You can see them dropping on their USD values, and you are seeing them drop, trying to hold their ground on their Bitcoin values. Once we get back to that 25, you're going to see even worse declines on those altcoins, because these are some of those key levels in the market that participants look for, maybe their algorithms. But when those start to break, then there's a flight to safety. Get out of the riskier crap of the altcoins, push it back into BTC or even into stable coins, which is possibly why Bitcoin still drops, but doesn't drop as hard as the altcoins will drop. So keep a lookout for that as well. Now, if you can see these moves playing out and you want to take advantage of them, trade them long and short, check out the Investor Accelerator Premium. Link is in the top of the video description. Many of our members are crushing their gains. They're going long, they're going short on their trades, and they are picking up some really, really good profits over there, while these markets are a little trickier to trade in themselves. So when we come back for a mega bull market, for the retail bull market, they're going to have their skills really fine-tuned. As you can see, some of our new traders are also making profits. Small, but they're still making profits in these markets as they're following the plans and strategies that we're laying out in TIA Premium. Check that out. This is a crypto that I think will potentially fall out of bed, and it's one that our members picked up this morning on our live stream as well. You can see Binance, one of the biggest coins out there, about to crap the bed. It's at 206. You can see some of the lows coming in here at around 180. So that's the significant low back in June. And it's just been on a solid decline since it peaked in November of 2022. Now, if it breaks down from these levels, you can see there's a lot of ground to move to the south side. And I'm bringing this into the mindset when you think about Binance, because the fear comes up about Binance and it says Bitcoin is going to collapse. The whole market is done for. No one's ever going to invest in Bitcoin again if Binance collapses. And you see that same sentiment play around in the market over and over again when it comes to the stock market or the real estate market, and the same thing is in crypto. If this breaks down, there is a good move to the downside, possibly about 40%, if not more. But I'm going to stay a little conservative and look at around 40% to the downside. I don't think the entire crypto market is gone if Binance breaks down or if Bitcoin breaks down, but there is a good trading opportunity here, especially an easier one, because there is no support and resistance from the level here at around 180 down to that 47. No longer term support and resistance. There is shorter term stuff, so we've got to keep a lookout for that, of course. There's no guarantees in this sort of market and these trades, but you want the easier trades. And this is the easier thing here because there is less support and resistance. What Binance has done in the past, 83.6% in 2018, 83.9% in 2019. Now, we are currently sitting at roughly 71% for the 2022-2023 bear market. And if we take it down to 83%, well, that leaves us at roughly $100, $112. So there is approximately that sort of 40-45% move to go from that point. With Binance being one of the top 5 cryptos, and of course ETH being another one of those, you are definitely going to see the Bitcoin dominance continue to go up. It's currently sitting at 51%. TradingView has done a few changes to how they calculate that percentage. Nonetheless, it's sitting at around 51% at this stage. ETH BTC is also on the breakdown here. We're looking at the next support levels, our major 50% level, as it got rejected at the previous 50% level, at about 5.2% or 0.052 BTC. That's where it's looking like a next support level. Below that, you're looking at 4.9%, and then probably to these previous highs here that were during the accumulation of the previous cycle, roughly around that 3.9 or 4%. So anywhere from around 4 to 5% could potentially be a good support zone. And the other factor at this is the time. Top to bottom, 27 months, currently sitting at roughly 22 months in October. So maybe there's roughly 5 months to go, 4, 5, 6 months to go for this low. So that gives you a target of time and price to be able to see how far this thing can go and maybe start to see a turn in ETH. At that point, might be a little safer to start looking at altcoins. So I'm not a perma bear on altcoins, although I am perma bear on the majority of altcoins because most of them are garbage. And you can see the charts continue to fall past these support levels with really no clear support coming through in the near term. So keep that in mind, especially if you're looking to continue DCAing into altcoins. If you have ignored all of the warnings that I've been doing here on the channel and on Twitter as well for coming up the good part of 2 years. The markets are clearly diverging. Bitcoin falling for the last several days, whereas the SP 500 has been going up for the last several days, but they're both at key critical 50% levels. Are they both going to flip at this point? Support come in for BTC and bounce, and the S&P drop? Or are we going to see them continue on with their trends? I tend to think the stock markets will find pretty good support here at their 4,200 levels, and for the NASDAQ, it's found some support at the mid 14,000 point levels. And for BTC, I think we still need to wait to see what happens here with 26.7 and potentially these next lows, because the major 50% at 23.6 hasn't been broken yet, and that is also the monthly 50% level, and we haven't seen a break of those monthly swing bottoms yet, like we have done in each of the previous bear market into bull market transitionary stages of that cycle. So this could be that time there where we get the nice little flush out to 23.6. Don't get feared out of your positions if in fact that is the case there. We get to 23.6. Check and keep a watch out for those 50% levels. But what I do think is almost inevitable is the further collapse of the rest of the altcoins. It's an unpopular opinion, but it has served us very, very well over the last near year and a half, 2 years, as all of these altcoins have continued to go down. You are getting less and less Bitcoin with these altcoins, the 20,000+ altcoins out there. Guys, thanks again for joining me on the channel. Check out Michael's channel as well. And you'll have a video popping up on your left-hand side. If you want to see more of the content from this channel, click that video right now. I'll see you guys at the next video. Until then, take care and peace out.